This video is about this avatar, not the blue people one, like the actually good one. Just putting that out there, just clearing the air, just making sure we're good, just being real, just being me, just being, you know, hashtag truth bomb, just being hashtag truth Mondays, just being, can't start my morning without my coffee, just being me, just being like whatever. Hello everybody, my name is Duncan or Dun Cannon, and I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of a little series called Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Please, come closer. What is it? Will you go penguin sledding with me? Sure.
Avatar: The Last Airbender is a wildly popular animated TV series that was aired on Nickelodeon. You can tell that that's the case by the fact that Toph's feet were shown in just full extensive detail during that show. Like, Jesus Christ. The show was created by Michael DiMatteo and Brian Konietzko. I am so sorry for butchering that. Jesus Christ, I don't know how to say that, man. They pitched Nickelodeon a show about these air people and water people fighting these fire people. And Nick was just like, yeah, man, just go ahead. Isn't it just like wild how easy it is to make a show? Like, Jesus. So they began working on it, and obviously it turned out good, I guess. They made a pilot, well received, I would think. Then they made the show, like the full one, with the air people and everything, and people liked it. And they made 3 seasons. Why not 4, since the 4 elements couldn't really tell you, besides that the story wrapped up in season 3, so I mean, at least it got a clean ending. But why am I telling you this, though? It's because I have a friend who doesn't know much about the show, and if I can info dump enough, maybe he'll finally watch it. It's Max, by the way. Go bully him for not watching the show. This video is kind of both a review of the show and isn't. I just really want to talk about it. Here is my official ranking of the 3 seasons. At the bottom, we have season 1. It's a lot of fun, but it's like old Saturday morning cartoons where they just kind of like do stuff. I mean, it's a cartoon, so I guess that makes sense. And it's also just like a lot of setup, which also makes sense. Next up is season 3. A lot of people think that this is the best season, which I get it. It's really good. It has some of the best television ever conceived in this season. Frankly, it could go either way, but season 2 is just my favorite. Some of the best episodes come from this season, like Zuko Alone and Tales of Ba Sing Se. But it also has that like Saturday morning cartoon thing going on, which is why originally I had it in the 2nd spot, but then I realized it had my favorite episode and almost like anything in this season, which is the episode that I mentioned earlier, Tales of Ba Sing Se. Which, why is that my favorite? I mean, if you've watched the show, you know why. The part of the episode covering Iroh is genuinely some of my favorite media that I've ever seen. Every time I watch it, I tear up really bad, and I don't even cry at stuff, so that's a lot coming from me. Uncle Iroh is just such a fantastic character. May Mako Iwamatsu rest in peace. I'm really hoping I pronounced that right. You can debate me if you want with this ranking. I don't really care if you disagree, but if you feel so inclined, just let me know what you think in the comments. And while you're there, you know, I mean, you can subscribe. I'm just saying. I'm just super saying you should Goku prom with me. Coffee spelled backwards or G-Fop, which is funny. Child deepfake to be Mr. Beast. What the hell am I saying? I think the reason why Avatar is so beloved is that it's a kid's show that is more than just for kids. It's in the space of like Batman the Animated Series and Spectacular Spider-Man and Ben 10. Can you tell that I really like superhero stuff? Where it's a show that's meant for kids, but my 19-year-old ass can still watch it and go, this is peak fiction. And I think the main reason for that is the themes of the show. Not the music theme, but like the theming. This show covers topics that normal kid shows just don't. It's like, imagine SpongeBob randomly had an episode on capitalism and had like a parody of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg in it. That would be really weird, but that's kind of what Avatar can do successfully. I mean, it's not a SpongeBob type show, it's an actual story, so the comparison is a little shite. But it can have episodes where the characters do silly things, and then the next is like about Zuko having trauma relating to his father, and it works. This story covers things like imperialism, colonization, genocide, and oppression, and it just kind of works. In the first few episodes, you find out an entire race of people were just killed, and bodies were shown, not gruesomely, but like there were skeletons. That's crazy. Like, imagine that being shown to kids now. The landscape of kids TV has shifted so insanely. Like, imagine going home watching Teen Titans Go. The next thing shown was an episode of Avatar. We just see like an old woman torture Fire Nation people. That's wild. That's insane. That would not be a thing these days. Not to be like a back in my day kind of guy. I know Gen Z is already doing that kind of thing where it's like, I'm so glad I grew up with Black Ops Zombies and not Skippity Toilet Simulator. And it's like, dude, we had that shit going on too, man. Or do you not remember when we also played stuff like the Nyan Cat game? Fun fact, Gen Alpha is just doing the same thing we did. It's just now you have the point of view that millennials had, which I hate millennials, so I'm trying not to be like one. I can't start my morning without my coffee. I'm a Slytherin. Hashtag derp. The point is, these types of shows don't really get made anymore. I mean, there's that one show, like Amphibia, I think, that has like a Super Saiyan frog or something. I don't really know. I didn't watch it. But there's still good shows. I just can't imagine a show on the level of Avatar being made now. Honestly, I think the best way to discuss the show and how it handles its topics and themes is by looking through the characters of the series. Also, spoilers ahead for those who haven't seen the show yet. Max. First up to bat is my boy Aang, the main character. Used to be my favorite character, arguably still is. I love Aang. He is such a fun character that's just unique to Avatar. He's dumb, but is also an absolute genius. He is a bending prodigy, the best bender to ever live, arguably, because there's Kyoshi and Korra, who we'll get to later. He is a very chipper and just silly character. He's a lovable goofball, but he's also incredibly irresponsible. Aang is what if you gave godlike abilities to a 12-year-old boy. He can control air with ease. He learned waterbending like nobody's business. Despite Earth being his natural opposite, he almost mastered it. Did I say mastered? He almost mastered it in a few weeks. And he mastered firebending almost on the fly against Ozai. But despite his natural abilities, he's also just a boy. The entire reason that the war really even started was because when Aang was 12, he ran away from home. Aang's whole character arc is him learning not to run away. After he accidentally burned guitar while initially learning firebending, he just completely stopped using it. Aang is so scared by his own power that he hates using it. His struggle with firebending in the Avatar state is just an extension of his childlike fear of responsibility. Dude, I had to burp during that whole section. Aang's arc is basically a long-winded version of Spider-Man's. I mean, it isn't, but like, it's just kind of like the hero's journey, but whatever, shut up. A young boy is given superpowers and has a safety net of his family. With Spider-Man, it's Uncle Ben. With Aang, it's Monkey Yatso. But with Spider-Man, Uncle Ben is killed. And with Aang, Monkey Yatso is going to be taken away from him. So Spider-Man uses his lesson for great responsibility. Aang is a 12-year-old kid and is scared and runs away, which is why he's literally on ice. Aang starts off the show as just a kid who wants to delay the inevitable as much as he can and ends the series as the greatest avatar to ever live. Not because he is the most powerful or the wisest or even the oldest. It's because even after everything, he's still Aang. His stupidity and willingness to forgive is his greatest strength. Which is why I hate the Netflix show. I haven't actually watched it, so I don't actually hate it. But I've heard things that upset me. Apparently, the Aang in this show skips the filler he intentionally puts into the story, which goes against his whole character. Aang is not a wise badass. He's a child who is scared, who has nightmares, who runs away from all his problems. So what is his grand character arc in the Netflix series? I don't know what it is. What is Aang gonna achieve after he beats Ozai? Besides the obvious, I don't know what it is. What will he learn? This isn't rhetorical. I'm being for real. I actually just don't know. Maybe the Netflix show is good. Maybe it isn't. God knows I'm not gonna watch it. The existence of the show does not make sense because the animated one exists already. So why try and remake something that really only works in animation? Riddle me this shit, man. I don't know. Enough of the Netflix show slander. We're not gonna cover every single character because that's like at least like 3 characters, and that's just too much. And I also just want to cover the ones I feel have the strongest arcs. Like honestly, I'm not sure what Katara's overarching arc is. Like I know her character, she's fantastic. I love Katara, but besides the arc with their mother's killer, I'm not sure what her arc is. I mean, she goes from this bright, happy character to almost a murderer, so that's something. But the point is, some characters have very obvious arcs, like Sokka, for example. His is like pretty simple, so I'm not going to cover it in full. But Sokka's is basically, you know, he starts off as a bit of a sexist, which not cool, man, not dope, Sokka. But then he gets his ass kicked by Suki and realizes, oh, yeah, women can be strong, huh? But he also has like this overarching plot of learning to be a leader and a fighter. He goes from like the dumbest person ever and one of the worst fighters and just being useless to a genius tactician and a fighter. He's the man with the plans, and he's also the boomerang guy. Sokka's dope. Why isn't he in Fortnite? What's with that, Epic Games? Freaked up? Freaked up, much like how the Netflix version, they just removed his sexism. So like, what does he learn getting his ass whooped by Suki? That she's cool? I don't know, I haven't seen it, not gonna. You know the drill, show sucks maybe. Sokka is funny, smart, but he's actually just like actually stupid. But we love him, we love the guy, we love the guy. But you cannot talk about themes and growth of characters in Avatar without talking about Zuko. Look, there's nothing I can really even say about Zuko that hasn't been said. I mean, that's true with all of the characters, but you know, even Captain Midnight made a video about the guy, so there's not much I can really cover. But there is this really well-made video about Zuko and the Jerker, so if you want some in-depth analysis about the best character in the show, probably, I mean, go watch that. But I mean, I'm still gonna talk about him. Zuko's whole character is about trauma. As a young boy, he was looked down upon by every single person except his mother, who protected him in his youth. Even Zuko's father hated the existence of him. He saw him more as a pest than a son. His father, his sister, and the entirety of the Fire Nation saw Zuko as a failure and embarrassment to his bloodline. So when his mother was taken away, he didn't really have anyone left in his life. And so when, as a young boy, he spoke out against the Fire Nation general, because he thought, you know, hear me out on this, maybe sacrificing a bunch of young firebenders is perhaps, hear me out on this, a bad idea. And so his father fought him in an Agni Kai, gave him his iconic scar, much like the Joker, baby. Is that why he made the comparison between the two? I haven't seen that video since it came out, so I actually just don't remember. Holy shit. So Zuko is banished with his uncle Iroh, who he thinks is a lazy old man who gave up on his biggest moment. So Zuko's not really a fan, and Zuko still thinks that his father is dope, because he's like 14, so he's not exactly a genius. So he's trying to reclaim his lost honor by capturing the Avatar, who at this point hasn't been seen in 100 years, so you know, awkward. Throughout the whole show, Zuko learns things about himself and his life through other characters, people like Aang, Katara, and especially his uncle Iroh. They teach him things. But he's still just a traumatized teenager, so when the opportunity to return to the Fire Nation arises, he ditches his uncle, he ditches Katara, and follows his sister, who's evil, by the way. I haven't mentioned that yet, kind of important. So he relapses and kind of reverts to his old self. But he realizes, wait, I'm goated, this isn't me. So when the moment comes, he joins with Team Avatar, who he's been tracking down the entire show. So obviously they just immediately accept it, but Zuko still struggles. He hates himself for his actions, but most of all, he hates himself for how he treated his uncle. So after he learns firebending from dragons, goes to the most dangerous prison, helps Katara almost kill her mother's killer, and hangs out with Toph, when he finally meets up with his uncle again, they share a very touching reunion. And Zuko learns to break through his trauma. He realizes that the ideal father he made up in his head isn't his real one, and that his real father is Uncle Iroh. And he grows immensely as a person, and then he becomes the new Fire Lord, and with the help of Aang, he rebuilt the world from the ashes that his father laid on its surface. Touching stuff! Zuko is basically the deuteragonist of the story, which I believe means that he's like the second main character. Most of the themes and morals of the story are played through Zuko's point of view, which is why he's like the fan favorite, and why I love him, and why I spend $20 on his Fortnite skin. Which, Jesus Christ, Epic Games, what are these prices? Aang hasn't come out yet as of writing this, but if he has more than 1,000 V-Bucks, then we are actually getting scammed.
My fault, OG. No, ain't no my fault. Run your pockets, yo.
I mean, I'll still buy it. What am I, crazy? But come on. I have spent $40 on this game just for the Avatar skins, and I don't even own Katara. But I'm chilling about it. Nah, man, it's fine. But if we were talking about the characters in the show, then we have to talk about who is probably my favorite. Uncle Iroh. I mean this in no exaggeration. Iroh genuinely changed me. His lessons that he teaches Zuko genuinely affected me. Iroh on the surface is a fat, lazy, disgraced old man, but he's far more than that. Iroh is the most compassionate, kind, funny man that I have ever had the pleasure of watching. He is a man that went through one of the most awful things a person can experience, which is losing their child. Uncle Iroh's son died while he was fighting in Ba Sing Se. I mentioned this earlier, but the episode Tales of Ba Sing Se, his section in that is genuinely just a heartwarming but also heartbreaking story. He watches Iroh go through the city helping people like a young man who tries to rob him, but he's just a lost and confused boy, so Iroh helps him and gives him wisdom. Iroh soothes a crying baby. He watches his kids play a game. All of this builds up to a very whimsical story about this old man. But the final part is where you find out that the entire episode was him grabbing items so he can go to his son's grave on top of a hill and sing a song and cry. The song Leaves from a Vine genuinely gives me chills every time I think about it. Iroh sees Zuko like the son he lost in a battle that he started. He sees Zuko as a way to repent for his past failure. He loves Zuko more than anything in the world. He gives him wisdom about his life and his journey. Some of Iroh's speeches have affected me in a very real way. Iroh inspires me to be my best self. He teaches lessons that I've heard my entire life, but puts them in a way that I can understand them, in a way that I can empathize and feel them. I know this sounds like frankly sad, right? This cartoon character seriously changed me. That's kind of lame, but it's the truth. Iroh is just such a fascinating character. His story is about love, acceptance, and growth. If I had to give any one reason to watch this show, it is so you can watch Zuko and Iroh's story, because it is an actual masterclass in fiction. So once again, rest in peace, Mako Iwamatsu. Anyways, moving on from that, something that I feel is very important and core to the story of Avatar is the pacing and foreshadowing. You know, it's like One Piece. It's like One Piece. Season 1 of Avatar may have been at the bottom of my ranking, but it is still fantastic. The entire point of the season is to get you introduced to the characters and the world of Avatar, but it is also to set up building blocks for the story, like the Kyoshi Warriors, Boomy, Jet, the Pirates, the Tracker Lady, I don't know her name, Zhao. These are all characters that are built up so that far later into the story, they can pull from their past experiences and actually use the connections they built. Except Zhao, he's dead. I don't know why I put him on the list. Which is what, he's just straight up dead. He never shows up. He's actually just dead. That's wild to me. The characters are incredible, and the story is well thought out, and the world building is great. I didn't really cover the world building, but shut up. So what else is there? I mean, the animation is great, specifically the fight choreography. It is fantastic, and every bending style has its own fighting style to go along with it. It's fantastic and well researched. But beyond that, what else? Scratches my chinny chin chin. Ah, I've got it. Put a light bulb above my head. Bazinga. That's the music. The music of Avatar is genuinely fantastic. It is a very unique sound to it. It uses a lot of Chinese instruments and a very orchestral vibe to a lot of its music, like the Avatar's theme. But it can also use chants and a faster beat to invoke almost a stressful vibe to it, like the Agni Kai theme. But it can also have a very upbeat and hopeful energy to it, like the Heart Chakra theme. The Blue Spirit theme has almost a very mysterious and uneasy vibe to it. But there can also be some silly, funny haha songs like Momo's theme. And obviously, I mentioned it already, but Leaves from the Vine is just such a sad song. But you can't talk about this series' music without covering its most popular and my favorite song, The Avatar's Love. Every time I listen to it, I get teary-eyed and feel chills. It's just such a calming song, but it's also connected to some very raw emotions for me, as it's the song that plays as the story is done. Avatar: The Last Airbender is just such an important series to me. It taught me a lot about myself. It has given me feelings that I've never really felt to this level from a TV show. I know it's a show made for kids, but damn if it's not the greatest television show I've ever seen. Probably, maybe. It's a bold claim, but genuinely, it's just such a fun show, full of emotion and heart. This is a story full of passion. And I think that's what we need nowadays. With the world being how it is, and what's going on with our economy and our government, and especially what's going on with the massive rise of AI, something that is made by real people with real emotions, something that has a soul to it, is exactly what I need and what many of you might need right now. Avatar: The Last Airbender has become somewhat of an escape for me. It has given me a lot of peace of mind. I recently watched the entire show recently, which is why I'm talking about it. And if you're still watching and you haven't seen it, I fully recommend that you do, because I hope it can at least give you a fraction of the emotion and the love that it has given me. Sorry if this video was a little emotional at times. This was a video that I just kind of had to get out for me. I also apologize if this is one of those, you know, those like tweets that are like, find a video essay on something you like, look inside, plot synopsis. I don't know if that's what I did. Sorry if so. I just really wanted to talk about a series that means a lot to me. Also, as irrelevant in the room, I've been gone for a while. Why, you might be asking? The reason is that I've tried a lot to make another video off just literally just the top of my head. I've had 6 videos in the works, most of them very long videos, but I've never actually gotten that far. I was making a video on nostalgia that I scripted out entirely and I recorded entirely, but I never really got to editing it. And then I made a FNAF video where I did the same, but I got halfway through editing it and then just stopped for some reason. It was supposed to come out before the first movie's release, which, you know, oh god, I almost missed my deadline. I gotta get on that. And they also have a video about Persona 3 that's still in the works. Like, I actually have the intention of finishing it. And that's almost double the length of this script. And I wouldn't even say I'm close to finishing it. Almost half of that script is me talking about Junpei Iori. But no matter what, I keep finding myself dropping these videos for one reason or another. I won't lie, general laziness. I've been very lazy. It's mostly just laziness. I just wanted to let that be known. I may or may not release videos in the coming future. We'll have to see. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Have a good night. Oh yeah, also The Legend of Korra sucks.